In my last video, we broke down the Piranha aquarium. We talked about absolutely everything about it, from everything in the aquarium to everything outside of the aquarium, even measuring the wattage that all of the equipment uses. Today, I think you guys are going to enjoy this the most. How much did everything cost? This isn't because I want to impress you. I wish it cost less. Heck, I wish it cost me nothing. With that said, it's more of a, if you ever want to do this, this is what I paid. I'm going to give you all of my numbers in Canadian dollars. You go ahead and convert to US dollars if you want, but at the end, I'll give you the grand total in both. Let's start with the Piranha. If I were to buy these guys right now at this size, I'd be looking at least $1,500. Piranha are fish that get worth more money the bigger they are than being smaller, because they are a relatively slow grower. You'll get to see the quality of the piranha immediately, as opposed to hoping that you get some good stock. And you get that immediate impact of having larger fish in a pack that's established and tends to be more ferocious. And of course, sometimes they're even trained to eat whatever you offer them. However, I didn't pay $1,500. I would probably value these guys upwards of $2,500, but I paid $500 for the fish. The fish are swimming amongst a tremendous amount of plants. Originally, most of them came from the 700, but I have bought several more types like Valseria. We've got Kabamba, but all of these plants that are in here would have cost me $800, which doesn't seem like a lot, especially since they're all grown out for the most part, but I got them when they were really tiny. At this size, they'd probably go for a lot more, but that's not what I paid. They're sitting in around $500 of soil. That's the aqua soil as well as the pool filtration sand. It's a mix of both. The rocks cost me nothing. As for the lights, the shop lights were around $30 a piece. These little Lumini lights were $80. The Hygers go for $100 a piece. And then coming over to these pumps with tacks, these go for around $750 a piece. Probably one of the most expensive pumps you can get, which are the Ecotech MP40s. They come as MP10s as well as MP60s, but these are 7 years old. 8 years old and still running strong. As long as you take care of them, they last for quite some time. The filters, as you guys know, we're running a pair of FX5s, and I don't know where you guys are getting them, but I pay over $600 each. Lids I stole from another tank, but if I had to include them, maybe $100. The full tank and stand, all of the plywood, the 2x4s, the epoxy, the acrylic viewing panel, everything we see here besides water and fish, etc., costs me, including the stand, roughly, give or take, and I'm talking give or take $100, $3,000. And you might be thinking, damn, $3,000? Yes, for a 16-foot long aquarium. Go ahead and try to price one out brand new, and you're looking at like $20,000, $30,000. Bigger tanks you build, the more you save. So the grand total for everything you see before you cost me roughly $8,200. Probably call it $8,000, which is fine. It's funny because 8 is half of 16. It could have been worse. Could have been $16,000. A lot of it came down to the big price jumps are these pumps, and that's pretty much it. If I didn't include these pumps, if I had no name, I'd put them on, but I already had these, so I'm not throwing them out. I'm going to use them, and since they're on the tank, I got to include them in the price. But did you think it was going to be more than $10,000 or less than $10,000? I asked you that in the last video. It's under $10,000. And this is one of my cheapest aquariums in the aquarium gallery. Well, paid $8,000 to have it. What about the ongoing monthly costs? It's not about just paying for a fish tank once. You got monthly costs, and those add up. I'm using 318 watts of lighting power. This is metered. We metered and made sure we got the exact wattages out of all of it, and I run that for 8 hours a day. As for pumps and filters, we're using 136 watts of continuous power. Now, based off my local Nova Scotia Power, which is incredibly expensive, and what they charge per kilowatt hour, this tank costs me per month $34.41 in power. But these fish gotta eat. And on average, these guys go through about a half a pound of shrimp per day. A pound of shrimp costs me $10, $9.99. So they eat $5 worth of food every day. And roughly, there's an average of 30 days to a month, so we're looking at $150 worth of food. Now, if nothing goes wrong, and if I need nothing, and you might be wondering about what about power for heaters, or how much does your water cost? I heat the aquarium gallery, not the tank, so I never have to worry about that. And finally, two, I'm on a well, so technically my water's kind of free, so I don't use additives or anything like that. I don't treat the water, I don't do anything with it. I do my water changes, which are essentially free. Obviously, I got to pay for my water heater. And I'm actually going to break down my heat pump and find out how much that of my electricity bill for the aquarium gallery is, because I want to know how much that is costing me per month as well, and then kind of do the math and decide, well, is it time I put these tanks on heaters because it would be more cost effective? Because a lot of times when you have a lot of water in a small area, it's more cost effective and to heat the room, not the fish tanks. So that $150 food bill and that $34 electricity bill means that this tank costs me almost $185 a month for it to exist out here. And that's if nothing goes wrong, never have to replace equipment, never have to do anything. But that's typically not the case. Things happen all the time. I do want to add in more wood, add in more tetras and whatnot. So overall costs of this aquarium are definitely going to go up. But if nothing happens, I'm paying around $2,200 a year for this tank. And like I said, that's probably going to be the highest electricity bill for these guys, but it's going to be interesting as we go tank by tank and do the same thing. I'll break it down, and once I see these two videos out and I see if you guys like it and what you really want me to focus on, they'll get better and better with time, because I never did any of these before. But there's so much to talk about, so much content, and I'd like to, kind of break down the video rather quickly for you. But to summarize, this tank costs around $185 a month to run. That's food and electricity. Would be a heck of a lot more if I had to use my heaters on the tanks, I can imagine. So I'm definitely getting a huge cost break there. And then the initial cost to set this up was $8,000. So if you could imagine, this tank's been running for 10 months. In 2 months from now, my total bill will have been $10,000. However, I've had these filters for a couple of years. I've had those pumps for about 7 years. And the longer you've been in the hobby, the more you collect a lot of that stuff. So technically, I didn't pay $8,000 10 months ago. Not even close. Probably even not even half that, because I had so much stuff already. And a lot of people say, oh, you reuse a lot of your things. I don't throw anything out and I don't sell anything. I'm a fish equipment hoarder. I will keep it forever, because you're going to use it at some point. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, just as a general interest to find out what these things cost, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already. And I'll see you guys in the next video. But most importantly, let me know what you want, which tank you want me to do next. And I already know what you're going to say, so I'll just go ahead and do it. The next tank we break down is, of course, the 2,000-gallon aquarium. And if you want to see that, do as I just told you to do, which is subscribe, or you're going to miss it. See you then.